are going to talk about home inspections, everything you need to know.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Sciacca, and here we go. So the first thing is probably wondering, why do I need to have inspections? You know, are those mandatory? Is that something that my lender is going to require? So we'll go over a couple of those things right now. So the short answer for if these are mandatory is no. Inspections are generally not required when you're using a mortgage loan to purchase your home. However, a real estate professional like myself and Stacey, we're going to recommend that you go ahead and get your home inspected. Is this a lender requirement? Only for those using a VA loan. Underwriter will always want to see a clear past report, so a past inspection is going to be required on that. Which one should I order? This is going to depend majorly on, you know, what you want to have done and what you've seen in the house that might need to get done. If you see a potential issue maybe with the roof, then you'll probably want to order a roof inspection. But it's always a great idea to just lean on your real estate agent for that advice, and they'll help you make the decision that makes the most sense for your situation. And then how much are these going to cost? And that's a huge question that I get a lot of the time, each time that I'm recommending one inspection over another. And it's usually, you know, how much is this going to be? So different companies are going to vary a little when it comes to pricing, and typically you can expect to spend about a few $100s on your inspections, possibly more depending on your circumstances. Typically you want to opt to pay for technically you don't want to opt to pay for your inspections through your escrow, which is a possibility, but you wouldn't want to do that because most inspectors are not going to want their payment to go through escrow, since that means they have to wait until this home has closed and you are now the owner for them to get paid. That puts them at a little bit of a risk. If this doesn't close, if this deal falls through, then they don't get paid. So most inspectors are going to require that you pay up front. Another reason you wouldn't want to have it go through escrow is because your underwriter is going to see that payment on your HUD statement, which means that they're going to want to see that inspection. And if you and the seller have come to an agreement to not have those things fixed, but to have a credit instead, or come to some sort of agreement where, you know, you go half and half or something like that, this underwriter can make that a requirement, that fix required before you can close or before prior to funding, which will delay your closing. So we're talking about inspections and what they'll cost, but there's many different inspections. It's truly endless, the type of inspections you can have on your home. This document here is our buyer's inspection elections. And as you can see, that big circle right there is just showing you all those that are possible. And it's endless, even, you know, 38 through 42 says other. So you can see that those are a lot. There's a lot. While these are all listed here as possibilities, we'll go ahead and talk about the inspections that we most commonly see ordered for a home. Not the most important, but the ones that are most common. So we'll start with our roof. A roof inspection is going to include the inspector going on your roof to check for wear and tear and creating a report to tell you what the state of the roof is. They'll write down if there are any leaks visible, the condition of the roof shingles or tiles or whatever type of roof is on that property, and then if it has the proper flashing, the valleys, sidewalls, eaves, and rakes. And these things are all going to be compiled into a report that they give to you, and most of the time they're going to tell you how much it will cost to repair those things. And that can be something that you'll negotiate later. Again, for your pests during this inspection, the inspector checks the interior and exterior of your home for any signs of infestation, damage, or areas that are attractive to pests. So these are going to be indicated in two ways on this report, and they're going to be Section 1 and Section 2. So Section 1 is going to be an active infestation that they can see right now. So this would be, you know, dry rot or possibly, you know, termite damage that they already can see is there. they're going to obviously write this down and how much it will be to fix that. In section 2, these are ways that they see that can potentially cause that same type of pest damage. So it would be maybe where wood and dirt are coming in contact with each other. So that could be a potential where you might have an infestation happen. On your home inspection, so this is a general home inspection, your home inspector creates a comprehensive analysis for your home and its elements. It's the job of the home inspector to not only evaluate the condition of the house's major systems and structural integrity, but also to evaluate how these systems are working together and identify areas that need to be watched, repaired, or replaced. Stacey, often I've heard her tell her clients that this is essentially a guide to how to care for your home when you're done with it. So you want to keep that home inspection because it's going to tell you, hey, you need to reseal your granite countertops once a year, and just tell you how to keep your home in its best. And then we oftentimes see chimney. If any home that has a fireplace, you would want to get a chimney inspection. A chimney inspection includes a visual check of your fireplace and chimney. Our favorite chimney inspectors clean your chimney before they inspect it, which makes sense, right? They can't really see if there's any damage if it's not clean. So the chimney sweep is going to come to your house with a flashlight and look for the damage, obstructions, buildup, and soot. And ideally, a chimney should be cleaned after each cord of wood is burned. So oftentimes homeowners don't have that done. And so this is a great inspection for you to have if you have a fireplace and you plan on burning in it. And then finally, we have HVAC and pool. I'll go over those very quickly. HVAC inspection is a thorough review and testing of your home's heating and cooling equipment. They'll check for a split differential between, when they've turned it on and how well it's working. And then they'll also do a whole home indoor air quality system. Oftentimes, many companies will inspect the ductwork as well, because a lot of times that ductwork will have the most loss of your heat or your cool air throughout your home. So you want to make sure that it's working efficiently. And then a pool inspection, they'll look at the pool itself, but a pool inspector is most likely interested in your equipment. And this includes your filters, your pumps, your heaters, your plumbing, timers, and other electrical components involved in your pool's functioning. When I had my pool inspection done, our inspector was able to tell us exactly how to set our pool settings. And so it was great that we were there and able to have that conversation, since the homeowners weren't going to be able to leave us a manual. They didn't have it anymore. So it's a great inspection to have, and it's great to be there for that. And many of these things, it's great to be there for those inspections. And septic and well are on here because we live in Vacaville, or I live in Vacaville, Solano County in general, and Stacey and I have, there's many country properties that might have these two items on there. And so those would definitely be something on your list of inspections that you would want to have buying a home that's in the country.
Okay, so now that we have the inspections, how do we go from there? So we're going to review the inspection reports, and typically I like to sit down with my clients in person. However, with COVID-19, we may do it with a Zoom call instead. But I also like to have all of the inspections together along with the other sellers' disclosures and reports, so that when we look at everything, we have a clear, concise picture of what we're asking for. When we're reviewing the inspections, we cannot assume that the seller will repair everything that's on the report. In fact, in California, the seller does not have to do anything. They don't have to reduce the purchase price or give a credit or do the actual repair, because all homes in California are sold in as-is condition, and repairs and credits have to be negotiated between the buyer and seller. However, it doesn't mean that we can't ask for a repair or a credit, but in my experience, the more nitpicky the request is, the more you're likely to irritate the seller and they say no. So there is one exception to this, and that is if you are a VA buyer, your loan will require pest clearance in order to close escrow. So whatever they find on the initial report, it needs to be corrected, fixed, however, or whatever it is. And then the pest inspector needs to come back out and show that it's been cleared and it's all done. So it's a two-step process with pest. And that, though, is the only inspection report that we will send to the lender, as Elaine was saying earlier, that we really don't want to send things to the lender. But we have to send that one because it's a requirement of the VA loan. And just because the pest clearance is required by the VA lender, it does not mean that the seller is obligated to pay for repairs. But a VA buyer can also pay for repairs or split the cost with the seller. So in each house, every situation is different. So we have to approach each one with that house. We can't, there's no cookie cutters, and no two houses are the same, just like no two buyers are the same. Your realtor is going to negotiate with the listing agent for a request for repairs. I personally usually start with the largest of the repairs needed, like if the house needs a new roof or there's major pest work that needs to be done. You have a better chance of having the seller agree to repairs or credits at closing if you've given them a strong offer to start with, and the house is appraised for what you offered. You're in a much stronger position at that point. And next.
I'm listening to you so intently.
So now you've closed escrow. Hooray, congratulations. So what do we do with these inspections after you close escrow? Well, you can do a number of things. You can throw them in the trash, you can burn them in the fireplace, or you can hang on to them, like Elaine was saying about your home inspection, as a good guide to your house. But so we reviewed your inspections, and you requested a repair from the seller, and the seller agrees that instead of actually fixing the problem, giving you a credit at closing. This credit is typically done as a closing cost credit, which is kind of vague, and it's vague that to keep it that way for the lender. But this means that you will come in with whatever that credit is, that much less at closing time. So it does not mean that if after the close of escrow that you're going to get a check from the seller. That's not what's happening. So you need to have if you have the funds in your account and your account and everything, that you can do these repairs after closing, then great. If you don't have that kind of extra money, then it might be better to have the seller do the repair while you're still in escrow. But now that you've received that credit from the seller, the item that the credit was for still needs to be fixed. And this is now your responsibility to hire and pay for a repair out of your own pocket. And you'll want to get those items repaired soon, because they will not fix themselves. And especially if it's something like a pest inspection problem, they're only going to get worse. I recommend that clients have their home evaluated on a regular basis to keep ahead of repairs, and things like painting the exterior on a regular basis or having your roof inspected every few years. By keeping up on this maintenance of your home, it'll save yourself money in the long run. So sorry, my computer just pushed me out of there. Sorry, technology here. So what about when you're selling your home? When you decide to sell your quarantine house because you're totally sick of it, your agent may recommend getting inspections done prior to going active on the market. And why do you need to get it inspected ahead of time? I recommend doing at least the pest and the roof inspection, as these can be the most expensive of repairs if needed. And if you do inspections prior to going active on the MLS, then you know what to expect, and there's no surprises when the buyer does their inspections. And the cost of inspections is minor compared to being blindsided by a seller's request, like something like a new roof. If you have your average ranch style home, that can be $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 depending on the roof. So it's definitely better to know ahead of time that this is going to be a problem to deal with. This doesn't mean that the buyer won't do additional inspections, even if you've already given them a couple of them, because the buyer has the right to inspect that house from top to bottom. So and every once in a while we get a crazy buyer that, wants to do some crazy stuff. Not every, on that inspection election sheet that Elaine put up earlier, not all of those, some of those don't apply to us at all, and there's no reason for them. So don't let it scare you. Listen to your agent on what they think you should do. So, and hopefully when the buyer comes back, they don't have whatever you got a credit for when you bought the house for, and you didn't take care of it. Hopefully you took care of it, because of something like that could be coming back to bite you. And it will not be cheap. So, and it's also very much, it's much easier to market a home when you're going on the market as it stating it has a brand new roof or it has a clear pest report. In our market here in Solano County, we have Travis Air Force Base nearby. So being able to market to those veterans and active duty servicemen and women is that one condition of their loan is already taken care of by the seller. So that's kind of the small version of what you should do with inspections. You should definitely listen to your agent. And definitely, if you're going to buy a house, it's going to be like buying a car, a used car. You're going to call your mechanic to look at it. You're going to kick the tires. You're going to take it for a test drive, you know, look under the hood. So the same principle is when you buy a house. You want to make sure that you're buying a good solid house that's you're not going to regret the day after you close escrow. So I hope our webinar was good and takes away some of the mysteries of buying and selling a house. And I'm Stacey Sandoe.
And I'm Elaine Sciacca, both with Coldwell Banker Kappel Gateway, and thank you for joining us.
All right, bye-bye.